because there's also like a modification for the land use, as we saw, like the land use map. So this evening, I'm not presenting a recommendation, but we're not getting into detail. It's only an overview of the request. It will be a brief presentation, and I will present the process and the request. So the request, these are property, the owners of the Webster House. Essentially, it's a rezoning request from a residential low density to a general commercial zone. And what's happening in parallel with those modification, it's a modification to the municipal plan for the land use from residential to commercial. And the goal of this request is really to allow like a restaurant, a bed and breakfast, and also to hold events on the property. So right now the property was only used as a bed and breakfast, and they want to open like a restaurant that was already in the building to the public, and not only for people staying in the clients in the building. So they want to have a restaurant for the population in general, and also have special events like weddings on the property. So what we're discussing today is really like the modification of the land use for a commercial use, commercial zone. Just to explain it quickly, what is like the zoning map? It's a more global card. It's a bigger map than zoning, and you see it's more simple. It's simpler than the zoning map. So we see. So this is like the land use map. So we cannot make the distinction between residential high density or average mid density or low density. Like the properties are really zoned like residential, commercial, and park. So before we proceed to a rezoning, we have to make sure like the map of the land use correspond like to the zoning map. So that's why we have to change like the land use to commercial, and it will take two bylaws to do so. And you will see like, and they were part of your package. And once we change like the map, like we can do like the rezoning to general commercial. So the property here is situated on Riverside Drive, and it's the Webster House, and it is identified in red. And this is the zoning map, like it's showing like the property is zone R1, and all the neighboring property they're zone R1. So it's really like a neighborhood that is mainly residential. So the request is to go from low density to general commercial, and here we only see like a list what are the uses allowed in the two zones. We see like in the zone there's only like a three uses, like a single family dwelling, a park, or a bed and breakfast. And if we go to general commercial, there's about 20 different things we can do. So we can have things like car wash, restaurants, a hotel, stores, etc., and a lot of things that you can have in general commercial. And just to conclude, well, there was a long list of uses that are allowed in general commercial, but the council, they could decide to limit what uses would be allowed. So they could say, well, we didn't want to have a hotel or a car wash or something that would have a greater impact on the neighboring properties. So the council could limit those uses on the neighboring properties. And once like the PRAC committee makes the recommendations possible, like a part of the recommendation, you could have different conditions to add. So we will propose those conditions, but it's really the recommendation will come from the PRAC committee. And also note like the existing building and what's happening on the property. Nothing will really change. It's really like the activities within the building. They already have a commercial kitchen in the building. It's really to open it and allow the population to use it as a restaurant. And the next steps, well, this was the public presentation. So the public needs to have 30 days like to formulate its objections in writing prior to the public audience. It will be January 30th. Some notice will be sent like to the neighboring properties so they can give the objections, and during the public audience there will be a recommendation and a little bit more details on the request to see what are the conditions being proposed. with the rezoning request. So this concludes my brief presentation. Thank you. It's quite simple, like in terms of what the request is. Yeah, could no question from the members of council. So the next step will be like the Prague committee. So and it will be brought like back in January 30th. We have 5-6 minutes before 7 o'clock. So we'll start on time as usual. Juste, j'ai fait puis les bails là, j'en ai eu. Pas les bails là, mais attends. Oh, c'est. Quand je l'ai imprimé. Non, c'est pas là. C'est juste que c'est sur l'ordre du jour. Parce que
oui, c'est ça. Le reste, j'ai pas de document, j'ai pas ça.
Ah, ok.
J'ai pas de rapport.
As-tu su ces parce-là, comme Ivan, vous as-tu donné des nouvelles?
Non, sauf, comme je t'ai dit l'autre jour, on va savoir dans les prochains jours.
C'est parce que le 30 janvier, il faut choisir. C'est ça, la réunion du lundi, il faut choisir à Fredericton le mardi matin pour un autre job. Au centre Saint-Anne à 10h. Cet été, je prendrais une chance. Ça fait qu'il y a-tu des chances que ça soit.
Ben, on vise pour le 16. Nous
autres,
la réunion est 16.
On va se croiser les doigts.
Mais je peux pas.
Non, je peux pas garantir. Ouais. Ça, c'est la dernière réunion du mois.
Oui, c'est ça.
Ouais.
Puis on a celle du 16.
J'ai une couple de municipalités que je recommande les mêmes systèmes. Par rapport, il y en a pas. Je ne sais pas si la province va donner des budgets. Parce que j'ai 3 demandes des nouvelles municipalités qui demandent. Puis moi, j'essaie de le faire à distance. Parce que je dis là.
Oui, ben c'est ça.
Les prochains qui demandent, j'ai plus de place.
Non, ben c'est ça. Oui.
OK,
yeah.
merci.
C'est vraiment le jour qui est envoyé. C'est vraiment pas aussi.
C'est pas de correspondance.
Non, on a juste une pour les pompiers. C'est tout.
Oh, good evening, everyone. Welcome to our Municipal Council meeting of December 12th. As always, I will start with the national anthem. And now the council's reflection. Us as municipal officials commit to look at our community favorably and inspiringly. We're also taking the responsibility to always have a right judgment, and at all time during our deliberation, all actions are efficient, inspired, and oriented towards the well-being of the citizen of this town. Good evening, everyone. It's a special day. We had a special meeting, so it's the last meeting of our actual council. The next meeting will be like the meeting, the meeting of the new council, with the addition of the four new committees, Cape, Shediac, and Pointe du Chêne. So we will have the sworn in of our new colleague. It will be the last item before we end for the evening. So it's great, like to see it's one of the steps of the transition with the municipal reform. So, Mr. Clerk, we do have the quorum for this evening. I have to. Are there any conflict of interest from members of the council for the items on the agenda? I would say no. Okay. Thank you very much. In terms of approval of the agenda, I need a motion to approve the agenda as presented. Moved by Councillor Emile O'Brien, seconded by Councillor Sylvie Colette Boudreau. Unfinished business, I would put like the rec centers. I saw like we added like 11.1, so it's there. Unfinished business, Connie is right on on this side. So all those in favor saying aye, against nay, motion carried. Minutes. So we do have the minutes of our last meeting that was held on November 28th. We all have the opportunity to take a look. So I will need a motion to adopt, moved by Councillor Germaine Galland, seconded by Councillor Paul Boudreau. Questions on the motion? Omissions, mistakes, error. Mr. Deputy Mayor, I had word like the 107 McQueen or I think we discussed it at the plenary, so it wasn't on November 28th. So it explains why. Perfect. So all those in favor to adopt the minutes, against nay, motion carried. We have one presentation from Leo Douara, citizen. Good evening, Monsieur Douara. Understand you wanted to talk of the budget of 2023. Good evening, Mr. Mayor, council members. Apologize, so my voice is so yeah, you got the flu. We had it, but the voice is not coming back yet. The reason I wanted to address you this evening is the budget, and it's I want to have an open forum. Remember, like prior to the last election, I will go back to 20 when I was deputy mayor and Peter was on the council. And the reform that was how it would be paid and how we would tell the individual people the expenses we had. So that's what we adopted at the time. So everyone, what they did as their expenses. In 2020, at the election, it was not posted since 2018. So there were 2 years were missing. A month and a half prior to the election was showing on the website, the town's website. It was never shown like until 2022. So we're at close to 2023. No expenses were shown since 2020. And it's something that it was one of our bylaws, and it's something we were supposed to do with our direction. And then, so when we look at things like that, we're starting to question. We had the municipal reform. Yes, it's true. Probably over time it will be proven to be a good reform.
La manière que ça a été pris,
The way it was taken, I don't think it was done properly.
notre municipalité
I think our municipality should have been more open. We should have struck committee together to see what the citizen of our community and
partenariat sur la Pointe-du-Chêne, Chediac,
the Pointe-du-Chêne, Shediac, Cape Scodoc, and Shediac Road, they should have their sales. I know some committees were put in place, but everything was done in camera.
So, tout d'un coup, d'égard à l'échange qui a été fait,
We look at all the discussions that were done,
on va avec tout ceci.
and we're saying, where are we going with this? So today, like, I spent some time on the computer, Fredericton Review, Moncton, Dieppe, and you look at different Miramichi.
Ils ont tous eu des forums
They all had public forum to adopt their budget,
de province,
even if the province
félicitaires.
had a facilitator. So I talked to Sam Langton, like I talked to him too.
Tout d'un coup, on prend une municipalité
All of a sudden, we take a municipality where we have a good growth, everything's going well.
de la province,
Other municipalities of the province lowered their taxation rate. They lowered the tax rate because they could do it. We could have done the same thing. So the last year, with 2008, I made a motion to lower the tax rate. It was defeated in 2019, if I remember well. Brian made a motion like to lower the taxes. It was also defeated. We look everywhere. We have a hard time to go to our houses because of construction, regardless of anywhere in the town. So we have a lower quality of life in Shediac because of the increase, and all of a sudden, the money and
diminuer nos taxes foncières.
we should not reduce our property taxes.
Puis là, vous êtes tous là.
You're all there like on behalf of the council, on behalf of your citizens, so that you were elected. They elected you. All of a sudden, like you're looking, there's no any place we can find like that a budget of the town where it would say like what the mayor, how much earning and what you're all doing or earning. At the time, it was all public. It's something that came out.
Parlait de, en public,
We discussed it in public,
dire pour ce qu'on avait à dire.
and we told them what we had to do. So, Mr. Mayor, like with all due respect, I know you're not the one who did the budget,
Personne en
but you were the person in charge here, and you could have brought like the budget to be discussed publicly to see what's in there. I do not even know.
24
I think it was like for between 24 and 26,000, and all of a sudden,
dans la nouvelle réforme,
in the new reform, Mr. Mayor, you will earn like $62,150. The deputy mayor will earn $28,860, and each councillor $21,753,
puis on met tout ça ensemble, ça vient
and up to $348,047
$47 pour être au conseil.
to be part of the council.
C'est pas une
I'm not saying like it's not. That work is easy.
frapper d'un bord, puis
You're hit always like people want one thing, another person wants something else.
fin de la journée,
By the end of the day,
on n'est pas grand personne.
not very much. Like we had
237.
237
Je pense que, Monsieur le maire,
percent increase. So I think, Mr. Mayor, it's not the way it should have done to the public because to present it this evening. I think like the right thing to do.
il y a une réunion publique,
You should have a public meeting when people knew what would happen with the new reform.
mais il faut tout le temps coder.
But we always to dig, we have to see like what we can find.
C'est à cause qu'on pige.
You know why we're looking? Because we have questions.
Quand c'était prêt, l'augmentation,
And when to think like the increase that was done, yes, it's true, it will be more difficult, bigger, more population, and
en 2008, puis eux qui étaient
in
au conseil,
2008, Peter with we said we're not hiding like numbers. We have no expense account.
nous autres, avec démolition qu'on avait fait,
So we move it, and we had an increase, and then it started with this. So
là, tout d'un coup, ils ont fait des augmentations.
all of a sudden, like they had increase, and if we look like every time, like you go to a meeting
Quelque part,
somewhere,
repayer.
you're paid back.
J'ai su que
And I was informed with the new reform, you have $7,150,
payer pour
but you won't be paid to attend other meetings. So exact.
Avec
So with the reform,
les municipalités qui ont
the
subi
municipalities,
une
like
amalgamation
we had an amalgamation with new territories, except it was only minor, like Moncton, it just expanded a little bit, a little amount of the population. Municipalities that were that had a important change population here were 3,000, like close with 4 LSTs. In those instances here,
les autres
as much as other municipalities like Poctouche, Caraquet, or
aussi, par exemple,
Dalhousie, or Camelton,
c'est la province qui adopte
the province is adopting the budgets,
pas pu voter sur leur budget.
and they could not vote on their budget. So it's only to say like they adopted the budget, but
Sur le comité.
you put some person in the committee. So
Comité de transition
so the transition committee that was in place was created by the province of New Brunswick. Us, the town of Shediac, we could nominate like two committees. So the the LSTs could nominate the 4%. So it was about here was around close like to 10, 2 times 5. So this committee, they were presented the things through the facilitator of the province. At the time, it was Kenneth Lausier. Mr. Lausier just ended his mandate like a little bit sooner because of another commitment. And essentially, like in terms of the name of the municipality, like the division of the territory, like in the boroughs, like so the committee met maybe 6, 7, 8 times, like. And one of the in one of those meetings, the budget was presented, and the budget was like the staff as the finance director, the facilitator. So they wish they work on preparing a budget, and it was presented also to us like at the same time, maybe the night before.
présenté au comité.
Was presented to the committee and then sent to the province, and the minister of the local government, Mr. Adopted maybe not too long ago, maybe a week. It's a week because I talked to the minister and the deputy minister, and I talked to the guy here. So you were in this committee, right? So you were part of this for what happened. And the one time you said from 26 or 24,000 to 62,000, it's a little bit high. Yes, it's a big increase. I agree with you. But the amount was done according to a model developed to the Association of Municipalités Francophones du Brunswick in 2017, well before the reform was on the province radar, and that's what the facilitator is promoting, like with all the municipalities where it was involved. From what we could understand from the facilitator, like the other facilitators, there were about 12 in the province, something like that. So we have essentially the same thing. So I did not participate like a transition committee for Dalhousie Caraquet. I attended ours. So this is the model that was proposed, like to establish. You as the mayor of Shediac, you think like you can justify to be paid like 5,200 to be the mayor, to be like a part-time mayor? You have another job, right? So you work for government, I think, or something. But you're paid $62,000 to work part-time. So this is the form that from the Francophone municipalities, and who are part of it. So they established criteria and put together. They came to that result, and the result was proposed by Mr. That's what I can tell you, Mr. Doiron. So I do not have much to add. So why it never came public? So why they didn't have? When do you have a budget? It has to become official. It was official a week ago. So I went budget many times, and we discussed the budget. Like So before we came like to a decision.
Cette année ici, c'était
So for this year, unfortunately, and the council member, myself included, we would have liked to do our budget discussion as we did all the years that we're here, and it was at your time when you were on the council.
job principal.
So these are one of the main jobs of your municipal council. But with the reform, this municipality or this authority was removed from us. So it means some negotiation should have been done before the municipal reform started. We should have a committee to talk to the minister, come to us. We need someone. And not only Mr. Douara. So what they did at the town of Shediac with this amalgamation, the same process that was repeated in all municipalities that had any amalgamation. Boctouche did not adopt its budget. Saint-Antoine did not adopt its budget. Carada did not adopt its budget. For other municipalities, Riverview, for instance, no change. The territory did not change. So they adopted their budget because their authority will stay the same. That's what I can tell you. How many people will serve in the Canadian Army? And I believe in democracy. And I see what's happening when there is no democracy. And I live this. And I see other reform took place and the way we're stuck in it. There's no way a municipality the size of Shediac shouldn't have a say in their budget. And if I would have been in your seat, we would have a lot of discussion and I would have go public. Mr. Douara, I cannot tell the future, unfortunately, and I'm the one in the city. So people did their choice in 2021, and then the other thing. Mr. Douara, have a good evening. So in 2021, when they did their choice, it was for 4 years. And once again, I did not decide to have an 1 year extension on the term. It's the province of New Brunswick. I think the council, if you're not happy with it, I cannot help with this, right? With your budget, let's see, the time maybe and to do the right thing. Because it's the time to look what you're being paid, to be part-time. 5,200, there's something that's not fair for a little town like Shediac. And at least, I will not talk behind your back, so I came here to a presentation and tell you right in your face. Have a great evening, Mr. Douara. Okay, I cannot hear him. And see, for 3 weeks, they're waiting for the next council to make a decision. You were here last week for a reason. And YouTube is not working. There's a lot of people watching on YouTube. All of a sudden, in your discussion, Mr. Douara, you're talking in 2020. If you know what we discussed, you're getting out of scope. At the end of the day, you never have 30 cars on Riverside Drive, for boats. It was workers on big building. Mr. Douara, I apologize, to contradict yourself. I saw over 30 cars before it was closed. There was no construction. It was on a nice Saturday. That's all I can tell you. Good evening, Mr. Douara. Have a good evening. Thank you very much. Next item, reading of correspondence. So we have one letter. It's from our fire department. It's for a volunteer firefighter. So we got a request from 4 recruits from the fire chief. So the recruits are Christopher Watt, Gabriel Légère, Zachary Légère, and Anson Conrad. I did not get the game. So I would need a motion to accept them to become volunteer firefighters. So these are recruits. Councilor Emilio Bright. I move that we accept like the four new volunteer firefighters. Thank you.
Appuyé du maire suppléant.
Seconded by Deputy Mayor Jean-Claude Bertin.
Question sur la proposition.
Questions on the motion?
Sinon tous en faveur.
If not,
Oui.
all those in favor saying aye. Against nay. Motion carried.
Prochain point. Rapport
Next
financier.
financial report.
Financier, c'est pour habituellement,
So usually it's for the one at the end of the month. So there's none this month. So
des services de police.
for the police services, so it provides a report every 3 months. So it's not for this meeting.
Et en termes du service
The
d'incendie,
fire department. Well, we have the report from November
avec certaines statistiques,
with a couple of statistics.
ce soir,
The fire chief is not here this evening, so I don't know if members of the council, it's there for your information. So if you have any questions, you can forward them to him.
puis après on a du
And then we have like the building permits report,
où est-ce qu'on peut voir la
where we can see like these are the numbers at the end of November, until the end of November, and where we at maybe
que
69 millions worth in building permits. So our record from last year, 55 millions, we're well above. So we have until the end of December that will be added to this amount. We'll see what the final number will be.
au point 9, rapport du
Item 9, report from the town manager. Just one item. I send you in my report of Friday to inform you. The first meeting, like January 16, we would recommend, so it's at the multifunctional center. We already rented the room to allow like the company, like the specialty of Shediac, to proceed also with the installation of the new office, and Ivan's also to install a new sound system. So we need a little bit more over a week, so we had some delays with Ivan's, and also for all the cabinets, so it will all be installed like, so to allow like people also to do the installation. We have to allow some time on if there were some challenges with electricity. We're confident like the week of the 16th, so it should. So we would like for the meeting to be to come back on the 30th with the new system. We will paint too. A decision to take also with the installation of the pictures. We'll have like 2 screens, so it will be bigger. So it will take some space from the walls. We'll have simultaneous translation on site for the meeting of the 16th.
début janvier, hein,
Beginning of January, but mid-January, well,
pour tenir notre réunion,
we'll be able to hold our meeting
l'installation des
with the installation of the new furniture and technology. We
micros.
need like mics and the thing. The mics we have, they will not work anymore, so we'll have to redo this. We'll have to paint the room, the offices, and the new sound system with the new council also, like for the remote meeting. The new system should allow like to be present, so it's within the budget. Like there were no surprises. Thank you very much. It's good. We will have a functional like a council chamber. Mr. Mayor, thank you. Do we need to a motion because it's a public meeting to have it in the center, or is it enough? It's only to announce. That's what I want to make sure, like, so we do not have meetings before that.
Numéro 10,
Number 10, recommendation from the Plan 360, the Regional Service Commission. None for this evening.
affaires non terminées,
Unfinished business. Well, we had a follow-up on the recreation center. So it's according to the presentation we had earlier this evening. So they presented, so we saw like the overall, most of the options.
ça ressemblait,
They were quite similar. A couple of things that were different.
et alentour,
It floated like around more or less around the same prices.
juste comme
So we would have maybe our consultant, Mr. Plourde, would say we should only indicate like a preference to see.
c'est simplement pour déposer
It's simply like to present like a funding request for with the federal and provincial governments. I don't know if some.
pas de sous mes yeux.
I don't have them right here. Like
On parlait, on avait
We also discuss in terms
de
of
faire une demande avec
to have a request
plus élevé, puis
with a higher number, and then we would be able to decrease the number in terms of budgets, like versus if we can if we can afford more, like
chercher plus de financement.
we could get more funding.
Conseillère Germain,
Councillor Jamet, I will move that go forward, like to ask the province and all the government to see if we will get some funding before we continue with this project. So it was the option, yes.
parfait.
So
Est-il là un, Denis? Oui.
you said,
Monsieur Leblanc fait signe de oui.
so Monsieur Leblanc is saying yes.
C'est ça la recommandation de l'administration.
This is the recommendation
Donc, proposé par la conseillère Germain
moved by
Galland,
Councillor Germain Galland
avec le chiffre selon
to
l'option 1.
present the option 1, seconded by Sylvie Colette Boudreau. Questions on the motion?
Sinon, tous en faveur, on
If
dit
not,
oui.
all those in favor saying aye. Against nay, motion carried. It's a process. There's no financial obligation.
Contre rien.
So this discussion will be done by the new council.
Conseiller Paul Boudreau?
Councillor Paul Boudreau, we still unfinished business or new business?
Non, ferme, ben, c'est
Are we still? No, we have unfinished business. If it's something we discussed previously in new business, it's unfinished business. So the thing for the motion, like for access to water, well,
j'aurais voulu que tu fasses une proposition.
I would like for you to make a.
Toujours aux conséquences au début.
You should have make a motion like to modify the
Juste pour le mettre.
just to put it like in the agenda. I apologize for this. I thought I could do it anytime. So before I make my motion, I thought of history. So why I'm making this motion? So the file for access to water, like some members of the council, you're aware of this. So the motion coming up is to follow like the step we did. If you remember 5-6 years, we had a request from the citizen to have water. We have Lorton Design, so they had proposed like a 5-6 area in the bay and in the Skodok River Basin. So from there, like we look at the report at the time, the pros and cons. So when it started and the water access was denied, closed recently in Riverside, so the Protection Committee and the Active Transportation Committee mandated the administration and a great job with the Englobe to assess like the Northern report. It's another step we did for the water access, which is great. And from Englobe, they identified like the Skodok River was the best spot like for this type of boat. So with the committee members and the emergency also members were there. So the Skodok River Basin and the citizen, it was more practical, like because the sea is more calm. So that's why we focus on the Skodok River. The next step within Globe, they identified all the Skodok River, even the basin, like on Cornwall Street. From there, like it was another step we did. So that's the report that was presented last week or the week from Englobe. So the focus on the area was option 2B, to focus on that spot. I think we would agree on this, like to make this file go forward. So that's where we were. The reason I'm making this motion, for this reason, well, to continue those steps, and if the council agrees with the motion to the scope of the project, from what I see, you'll see like to assess and modify the last site of the Englobe plan, which include everything like the parking, dredging. I went there, and the citizens saying we can always modify, and it will affect also. It will impact the budget, the location, and so this is the motion. That's why I wanted to continue, and the involvement of the new council member. From what I see, like if we go forward with the motion, it should come back to us in January, February. In the meantime, the 4 new council members, they will have their say in this file. They're aware of those modifications and all the discussion we'll have with the administration. with the professionals working on this file. And thirdly, also important, what I see in January, February, so once like the files will have the involvement of the citizen, as we do with our projects, do with our public meeting, we'll get the input from the citizens. So just to share also why the goal is to for water access. If you allow me, since the council member and the administrator attended the presentation of the report, the Englobe, for option 2B, adjacent B, south of the Edward Wharf, and since the council also brought a very good positive comment from the Englobe firm, I move that the administration and the committee members of Transport, Active Transportation and Protection Committee continue their process with Englobe to elaborate with the master plan of the site for the eventual presentation to the council member and eventually to a public presentation. I shall move, council members.
proposé par le conseiller.
Moved by Councillor Paul Boudreau, seconded by Councillor Germaine Galland.
Question sur la proposition.
Questions on the motion?
Moi, j'ai une question.
I have a question.
Au niveau, si on accepte cette proposition,
If we adopt this motion for the timeline, in order to be able to get to
prochaine saison, est-ce que
for the next season,
ou est-ce que est-ce que ça va créer des délais?
or will it create some delay? I'm moving that no, that's why I asked the question. It depends on the scope, how much it will cost. But I can see if we have something finalized, if you can, by the end of January, they can prepare the tenders in February, March. I don't know how long it takes to. I think we can start the work as soon as the ice melts, and it can be done by step, Peter. So if we focus on water access, well, we focus on parking a little bit later in the summer. So things like that, public administration, members of the council, expert could elaborate also to have a deadline to see what we can do without having major impacts on green spaces, because because we have factors out of our control, the WAWA, the water course permit, so it's out of our control. So I'm optimistic, Ms. Peter, that if the council, if it's the political willingness is there, well, I think we can go ahead with this project. So I think the council, they want to have a solution.
C'est quoi la meilleure solution si d'après toi
So what is the best solution? Because if this motion allows this, so we're able to give the services to the citizens. So I have no problem of supporting the motion. I hope this motion will not delay the process. So I think the last two reasons I mentioned, the involvement of the new member, because the Skodok River will be in totality in Shediac. So this is the involvement also of the two council member, and also for the financial aspect. So it has to come eventually, to adopt or deny. It was also with the public. So we have a deadline to see what the feedback is for this new location. So that's where it could take some time. So I think it's important to do those steps. So
Paraphraser ça.
just to summarize this, so you are moving to return this to the Active Transportation Committee
Protection et transport.
and protection and so this the committee continue this work essentially so it's clear in my mind, very short term, and involve also the new council members. So other committee will come also for a committee, essentially, regardless of the topic. Thank you.
Conseiller Patricia?
Councillor Patricia, I just want to ask a quick question, Paul. If it goes back to the two committees, the joint committee of the two, so after it has to go back to Englobe to get new prices.
S'il y a des changements,
So if there are any changes or something,
le chiffre changerait.
so the number would change. So Englobe would be will be part of the discussion, so I didn't want for to delay. So it would be the committee. No, I have no expertise on water access, so we are relying on experts.
Un mélange de tout.
It's a mix of everything. I understand.
Donc,
So,
sur la proposition de
on the motion of Councillor Boudreau, seconded by Councillor Jean Mangala,
ça au comité,
to return it to the committee so they continue to work on this
projet-là,
on this project
les consultants,
with the consultant. All those in favor signify aye, against nay.
adopté.
Carried.
Deux autres items,
Two other items.
juste pour être sûr. Donc,
Just in
affaire
which
non terminée ou
is it unfinished business or intro to new business?
que tantôt tu m'as demandé pour faire une chose dans l'affaire
You
non
mean
terminée.
like one thing in unfinished? Yeah, I'll wait 30
Dans
seconds.
l'affaire, on est rendu maintenant au point 12. On va
We're at
faire-
the introduction of new business. Yes, Councillor Paul, it's me.
Une étape à la fois, c'est tout ce qu'on fait.
Once, so
Des très très bonnes nouvelles que
I heard good news like the Shediac Cape Borough, like the push of the new member to get like a high school in their ward.
On a vu ces annonces-là.
we saw those announcements. I would like to congratulate so the other members of the council will be jealous. Just to say, like, so when they improve like the school like in the 80s,
un peu de bateau avec la communauté.
the town missed it to improve like installation like the gym, and it wasn't big enough. Grandig, I don't know if they learned from our lesson in Barachois.
C'est bien sûr la communauté s'implique.
So
Le design de l'école comme tel pour avoir un plus
the
grand
design of to have a bigger gym, a greater cafeteria. So if possible, like I know that they will not
secondaire
start a new high school at Shediac Cape High School, but eventually,
pour s'impliquer avec
I don't know eventually if the town could get involved with architects and
le board en
or the school board, or I don't know, like,
conseil.
but the new members, like,
On peut améliorer. Je dis pas
I don't know, like, to build like another gym, or to see if there would be an opportunity, like, to contribute, like, for a better installation.
c'est ça que j'aimerais voir qui pourrait se
That's what I would like to see, like, happening.
Je vais juste donner aux conseillers d'autres choses à faire.
Just to give a councillor something else to do.
Parfait. Fait que tu avais deux choses. Quoi?
You said you had two things,
Oui,
and the second one,
parler pour les autres même, mais je me souviens,
we're losing two great employees. It's their last meeting.
j'aimerais juste remercier
I would like to thank personally Lynn. Lynn's been with us for 1 year. She had a big file. Mr. Douara is referring also on the budget. It was one of Lynn's big file also, the transparency like provided by Lynn.
impressionné quand
And I was impressed like when she presented the budget like to the new award of the town. It's really professional. Like congratulate Denis.
ça fait 6 ans,
Denis,
5 ans, puis
you took my. You've been here for 6 years, Denis. Thank you. The last 6 years, like the files you took on, like the hockey ball, water access to water was not easy. Like the Omarus and the bicycle trails, and you were in the Acadian Congress in 2019, and the collaboration you had also for the experience Shediac, you put it on
Festival Ocean,
the Festival Ocean also, like.
bébé Denis, donc je te remercie.
It's one of your babies, Denis. And what was more impressive about he was director of community life. Like he managed like the installation. He managed also like special event with COVID. Denis, it's a great feather to your hat. Changes almost every day. Restriction and all. I wish you good luck in your new career. That's all, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, Councillor. Very well said also, like for on behalf of Monsieur Leblanc and Mrs. Landry Casey. She was here, but she was great.
Numéro 13.
Number 13, request inquiries by members of council. So that's your opportunity to ask questions.
Paul dit, il y a déjà
Paul saying like he reached his quota for the night.
voyons pas d'autres questions.
Seeing none.
Nous avons ce
So we
soir
have
quelques-
a couple of motions to do. The first one, I will go to my list.
So,
14.1, the third reading of the bylaw on the water system. Councillor Patricia. Thank you. Third reading of bylaw 23-24. Is it a mistake? We're 23-24.
23-22 dans-
And is 23-22 the subject? Is 23-24. Third reading of bylaw 23-24, a bylaw relating to the water system. That the third reading of bylaw 23-24, a bylaw relating to the water system in the town of Shediac, be done by title. I shall move, Mr. Mayor. Moved by Councillor Patricia Bourg-Chavary, seconded by Deputy Mayor Jean-Claude Bertrand. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Against nay. Motion carried. Mr. Clerk, like a bylaw 23-24, a bylaw relating to the water system. That we accept the third reading by its title and adoption of bylaw number 23-24, I shall move. Moved by Councillor Bourg-Chavary, seconded by Councillor Emile O'Brien. Questions on the motion? If not, all those in favor saying aye. Against nay. Motion carried.
15.1.
So the 15.1. Councillor Sylvie, if you could read it. That's what I did not remember. Cancellation December 22 be it resolved that the meeting scheduled for December 26th, 2022 be cancelled due to the Christmas holidays. I shall move, Mr. Mayor. Moved by Councillor Sylvie Colette Boudreau, seconded by Councillor Bourg-Chavary. Questions on the motion? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Against same motion carried. And 15.2. Mr. Deputy Mayor, if you can read it. Thank you, Mr. Cancellation of the plenary in January 2022 be it resolved that the plenary meeting scheduled for January 2nd, 2023 be cancelled due to Christmas holidays. I shall move. Moved by Councillor Jean-Claude Bertrand, seconded by Councillor Sylvie Colette Boudreau. Questions on the motion? If not, all those in favor signify saying aye. Against nay. Motion carried. Councillor Janice, thank you. Resolution following like the departures of the finance director as of December 31st, 2022, whereas the municipal council has to designate the person in authority to sign and any bank document on behalf of the new entity of Shediac, whereas like the result of the election concerning like the new municipal reform requires changes on the signing offices for the new Shediac entity. Therefore be resolved that Mayor Roger Casey, Deputy Mayor Jean-Claude Bertrand, General Manager Gilles Bello, and Lise Cormier be authorized to sign checks and other bank documents on behalf of the new Shediac entity. I shall move, Mr. Mayor. Moved by Councillor Janice Cormier, seconded by Councillor Paul Boudreau. Questions on the motion? Just a precision is following like Lindsay Ports. It will be like from January 1st. It's not immediately. It's as of January 1st. All those in favor saying aye. Against nay. Motion carried. Now 16. The oath of office for the new council members. So we have our new members from different areas in the room. So we'll ask you like to come one by one. I don't know which one we should start. We'll start with the district. So Henry McElroy, Ward number 2, Mary Lloyd, Ward number 3, and Roland, ward number 4, and Joel, ward number 5.
So, Harry, if you'd come up.
Harry, if you would like to
Just,
come up.
Just to the mic there, we're going to use the table part. Have you signed the official documents and whatnot? So ici, c'est Monsieur McEnroy, Harry McEnroy. Il est le
Mr. McRoy is the new councillor for Pointe du Chêne.
counselor for Pointe-du-Chêne. Welcome. Gilles going to get you to sign the appropriate documentation. Denis, veux-tu prendre une photo, là?
Denis, would you like to take a picture?
I, Harry McEnroy of Shediac,
affirm that I am, to the best of my knowledge and belief, qualified for the office of councillor for the local government of Shediac, to which I have been elected, and that I accept the office for which I am elected and will diligently, faithfully, and impartially discharge to the best of my ability the duties of the office as may be imposed on me by law.
Now you have to sign it here.
Okay.
Mayor of Montserrat, yeah. Yes, and- All right.
Did you want this one also?
Yes, so the conflict of interest, yeah, we have to sign. Sign already?
Yes, I have.
Perfect.
Okay.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
Next one is Mr. Murray.
Le prochain, c'est Monsieur Murray Lloyd.
Mr. Lloyd is the new counselor
Monsieur Lloyd
for
est le nouveau conseiller
new and first counselor.
et le nouveau et premier conseiller. Même chose, Monsieur McElroy pour Shediac Cape. Félicitations. Merci.
Murray Lloyd of Shediac,
Murray Lloyd de Shediac.
that I am,
Et je vais fermer de ma capacité et croyant, je suis qualifié au poste de conseiller pour le gouvernement local de Shediac et pour lequel j'ai été élu et j'ai accepté le poste pour lequel j'ai été élu et je vais de façon impartiale faire au meilleur de ma capacité les fonctions qui sont imposées par moi par la loi. Aidez-moi, mon Dieu.
Where?
Here. All right, here's your conflict of interest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Merci.
Mr. Roland Cormier.
Monsieur Cormier est
Mr. Cormier
un homme de longue date que
is a guy that several of us know him for a long while. Welcome. Well, sworn in on the Bible, right hand. He said, "You're sure it's Shediac and that's good."
Ils ont vérifié, là.
They check. Oh, I, Roland Cormier of Shediac, swear and affirm solemnly to the local government, as I'm aware, I do have the required qualifications to perform the duties of a councillor for the local government of Shediac, for which I was elected, and I accept all the duties that are conferred to me by law, and that will fulfill impartially and faithfully with diligence, and God help me. You can sign here.
Vraie signature de médecin, là.
Congratulations. Congratulations, Mr. Cormier. And the last from Scodouk, we have Mr. Joël Després.
Oui. Germaine, t'es plus la plus jeune.
Charmaine, you're not the youngest one.
Shediac local government swear that I am, to the best of my knowledge and belief, qualified for the office of councillor for the local government of Shediac, to which office I have been elected, and that I accept the office for which I am elected, and will diligently, faithfully, and impartially discharge, to the best of my abilities, the duties of the office as may be imposed on me by law. So help me God.
Tu veux signer français ou en
Ça dérange pas. Je peux signer.
Congratulations. Perfect.
Et ça nous mène au dernier point.
And it brings us to the last item, the adjournment.
Proposé par la conseillère
Moved by Councillor Colette Boudreau. Have a good evening.
On demanderait aux quatre
We ask for new council.
council to stay here. We have a few things for you. So, merci beaucoup. Je vous souhaite une bonne soirée.
Thank you very much and have a good evening.